Yes, let's talk to Ben Habib, because the front page today of the Daily Mail is even more shocking, a story about the migrants, I think, than we've ever seen. We know already that there have been 30-odd thousand of them coming last year. Probably as many will come at least again this year. But Channel migrants landed in Britain with guns. And this is not some kind of story that's been dreamed up by a reporter at the Daily Mail. This is a story from a major report written by David Neal, the Chief Borders Inspector. And one of the most shocking things about this is that this Borders Inspector and his report, he's been doing this job for a year. He's never met Priti Patel. Let's talk to Ben Habib, Chairman of Brexit Watch, former MEP. Ben, a very good morning to you.
Morning, Mike.
I mean, considering how much we've talked about this story and how often we've been accused of, you know, raising the debate and making stuff up about these horrible people coming here, human trafficked, criminal gangs, all of that, it now turns out that we were right all along.
Well, I mean, it's no surprise, really, is it, Mike, that if you let people come in unchecked into the country, they're going to be all sorts of people coming across, and they'll come with whatever, you know, bad habits is not really the right way to describe it, but, you know, guns, you know, what a big surprise. Yeah. They're not being checked, they're not being monitored, they're not being logged. You know, the report is damning. It talks about people absconding from hotels without having had their biometrics taken. Yeah. Known criminals being allowed into the country and not being checked. I mean, it just couldn't get any worse. But what really strikes me about it is that all of it is about failings in the system once these people have landed in the UK. Not once does the report touch on what steps need to be taken to prevent these people from crossing into our territorial waters in the first place. And I know I kind of bang on about this whenever I'm on the program with you, but border control is about border control. It's not about dealing with people once they get here. You wouldn't have to worry about biometrics. You wouldn't have to worry about people absconding. You wouldn't have to worry about criminals coming across. You wouldn't have to worry about them bringing guns if they weren't allowed to cross into our territorial waters in the first place.
Exactly right.
If you see what I'm saying.
No, of course. I mean, we're talking this morning about some kind of a problem at the port of Dover because British holidaymakers are trying to get onto boats to cross into France, but there's some kind of dispute going on with the French border staff, which means that none of the Brits can actually get on a boat, and there's something like a 4-hour delay. Now, not saying that that's what we should be doing, but I mean, that's how you run a border. You know, you actually stop people from coming if you want to. And that's what the French are currently doing, ironically, even as people are coming the other way on illegal migrant boats.
Well, if you go through formal channels, you know, if you try to land at Heathrow Airport without a valid visa to come to the United Kingdom, you'd be detained, put on a plane and sent straight back to where you came from. Yeah. But that doesn't apply to people coming across the North Sea. And that's the bizarre thing about this. There seems to be different rules applied for different mechanisms to, you know, as you seek to enter the United Kingdom, and that has to stop. That's where we need to get tough. That's where Priti needs to sort this out. It's not about dealing with them once they get here. Of course, those measures need to be strengthened, and Neal makes some very powerful points in his report, but he doesn't touch on the critical issue of how you stop these people from entering our country in the first place.
No, but he also says, and I find this staggering, that he's never even had a meeting with Priti Patel in the year that he's been putting this report together. I mean, surely this should be on her watch, the most important issue, because she keeps telling us she's going to fix it. I found the headline from 2019 where she said by 2020 all of these journeys will have stopped.
Yeah, well, you know, the government is great at these declarations of intent, almost as if just declaring it will make it happen. You know, we had that, don't want to go back to it again, but we've had that with the Northern Ireland Protocol where they declared they're going to get rid of it, but then done nothing. They declared in favour of, you know, really controlling our borders and then done nothing. They've said they're going to sort out the cost of living crisis, but actually taken no material steps to address it. They seem to think that a declaration in itself gets the job done. It doesn't. You know, you need meticulous, joined-up thinking, and then you need to implement that whatever that plan is, and hold people to account over it if it hasn't been properly implemented. And these are things that seem to be fundamentally absent, you know, in this government.
Yeah, it really doesn't make much sense as to why nothing has been done for so long. And as we know, the numbers game is ridiculous, because if we don't know how many people have absconded from the hotels that they were put in, because that's where they were supposedly being monitored, we have even less idea of how many people are coming in who don't ever get seen by Border Force, who literally just walk off a boat at somewhere like Pett Level, which I know quite well, is a very easy place to land. It's very flat, you know, it's very low, there's no cliffs to worry about, and you can literally just walk off the boat into the town, and we know they do that in Dungeness as well. It's incredible.
Yeah, well, I mean, when they say 28,000 people came to the UK across the North Sea last year, of course the number's higher than that. When they say 15,000 have come across so far, of course the number's higher than that. You know, the numbers about which we're aware are a fraction of what's happening, because they're the ones we've actually, you know, caught isn't the right word again, because we haven't caught them, have we? They've come in, they abscond from their hotels. It was interesting, one of the statistics before by Neal was that he did a random test of 57 absconders, 38 of whom hadn't provided biometrics. So the vast majority of people, once they arrive, even if they're caught, are not being logged properly. It's just absolutely absurd. It's a complete breakdown in governance, and we've got to get a grip. This government has got to get a grip. And in a sense, you know, Neal has slightly excused himself because he's chief inspector of borders, isn't he? But he's not talking about border control. He's kind of laying the blame elsewhere. And Neal needs to come forward with ideas on how we're going to make sure they don't cross into our territorial waters. For me, it's very simple. For me, Border Force and the Royal Navy should do their job, which is to push these boats back into French water. You know, we've got to develop a bit of tolerance to the criticism that might come from the effects of that. But unless we're prepared to do that, we're never going to deal with this problem. Security officers at Heathrow wouldn't hesitate to unholster their guns if a would-be illegal migrant tried to rush across one of the barriers. Right. You know, they'd be arrested and handcuffed and dealt with rigorously. Yeah. So I don't know what it is about our territorial waters that, you know, we seem to go completely weak at the knees.
Yeah, it is extraordinary. Ben, good to talk to you again. Thank you very much indeed.